We're diving into the psychology of Erika Kirk, not conspiracy rabbit holes, but real human behavior under extreme pressure. Assassination of her husband, instant CEO of a major organization, single mom, public scrutiny, and a very public feud. Now, first, let's lay out the common criticisms that make some viewers see her as untrustworthy, strange, or like a liar. Pulled from public discourse, Candace Owens' series, Body Language Analysis, we've seen a lot of that, and online chatter. Then we'll use tools from self-proclaimed intelligence pros and psychology basics to separate perception from perspective. This isn't about picking sides. It's about understanding why her responses land so differently for different people. Why so many find her fake or off-putting. She even said in a recent interview that she understands that people don't get her. Okay. So this is going to hit both sides of the argument. This is not just a pro or a anti. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this is because for a long time, like a lot of people said, like Barron said, like Candace said, they didn't think anything was wrong. They were pro Erika. They're like, yeah, do it. Take over CEO, lead the company, continue his legacy. And then things changed, right? So what changed? And I see someone saying proof she's a mother. Yeah, there's so many things that people question. And thanks for letting me know the sounds good. Awesome. All right. So what we'll do is we'll do housekeeping here really quick, and then we'll get right into, I have a lot of clips. Like right now, if my computer crashes right now, I'm retiring. That's how many that's how many tabs I have open for today. So hopefully everything goes smooth. But hit that like on the way in. Tell YouTube that you appreciate this content. Many of you have been unsubscribed involuntarily. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe and click the all bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications from me and other creators as well. Be sure to check out Off Script. That is my second YouTube channel, and it's for creator and expert interviews. It's Off Script with Matt. And let's get that one to 1,000 subscribers. That's a big goal of mine, to get that one monetized. And there's ways to support the channel down in the description. And you can become a channel member. And of course, we appreciate your support. So what we'll do is we'll start off here. Let me get all my stuff organized. So first context, Erika Kirk, Miss Arizona 2012, degrees in political science, Christian leadership. She has real estate experience and nonprofit work. She married Charlie, built a family, and then the public event. Days later, the board made her CEO of Turning Point USA. And earlier statements, she forgave the shooter. The movement will die. The movement will not die. And she talks about nonlinear grief. And people are saying that's a lot of load. Okay. So the first half of this stream is going to be talking about the pro Erika side. Like, could she be acting this way because of grief and mourning and PTSD and stuff like that? And then the second part of it, or like I should say, like the end of it or whatever, is going to be why so many people think that there's an issue. Okay. So I wanted to separate it that way and not kind of mix it together so it's not as confusing. And then I can also do a timestamp to split it for people that come watch later. So let's start off with this first. Let me get my thing shared here. All right. So we'll start off with some clips. This is people on her side talking about the great work she's doing. We'll start with that. And let me know if you can hear it as well.
I just spoke to Erika last night, and isn't it amazing that she sees her husband brutally murdered and she doesn't start a riot. She doesn't start a protest. She doesn't somehow try and tear down other people or tear down the government. What she does is she starts a series of worship services because she knows eternity is more important than anything that goes on here right now. And she wants people to know that the way you get to heaven is to trust in what Christ has done because he lived the perfect life in our place. I mean, she is amazing when you think about this, Ainsley. Just 4 months ago, and she's starting worship services. Meanwhile, the left is disrupting them. I just spoke to Erika.
Okay, so clearly he's saying that she's amazing. 6. I don't know why it's playing that weird clip. But yeah, so think of it this way. So she's doing God's work, right? That's basically what he's saying. Is like she just lost her husband, but she's still doing the Make America Crowded tour. She's still pushing things out, and she's still doing her thing. Okay. And then we had Andrew Colvett.
What does that mean? What does Erika mean for the future of this? Okay. Andrew Colvin is not just the spokesperson for Turning Point USA. And he was also the EP of the Charlie Kirk show, but he was one of Charlie's closest friends. I am sorry for your loss, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Chris. And I just want to say that number is actually at 62,000 new inquiries to start Turning Point chat.
Now, just really quick, I want to point this out. Did you see what he did there? So whoever this guy is, maybe Cuomo or something, he said, I'm sorry for your loss, the loss of your friend Charlie. And Andrew raised his eyebrows and he says, well, actually, it was 162 or 62,000 chapters that we got. Interesting. I've never seen this. I just saw this today for the first time.
Chapters now. That broke about 30 minutes ago. So 62,000.
So help me understand, Andrew, put it in context for me. How many chapters, how many students did you have?
Okay, so I thought that was interesting. But in this same interview, he talks about Erika.
Keep it the same, and how does it change it? Do you anticipate that she will take up the mantle of prove me wrong, or do you think you'll use ambassadors for that? I mean, or you had not figured it out yet?
Well, I think Charlie was uniquely Charlie. And Charlie, over time, learned how to apply his unique skill set. I mean, he was a five-tool athlete. There's no replacing Charlie. He could debate. He could speak on stage. He could host a radio and a podcast show. And he could organize. I mean, there's no putting all that back in one person. But Erika is the beating heart and the spiritual center and the life force. You could just feel it. And, Chris, I hope your audience knows this was exactly what Charlie wanted. He had made plans because he was, getting death threats all the time. He knew that there were people that wanted to hurt him. And obviously we took precautions in that way, but he was prepared. And he told me personally, he told members of the board and other executives at the organization that should something happen, that Erika was going to be the person that took over. And
now, you heard what he said. I don't want to spend too much time on these little side quests because we have a lot of footage, a lot of video that we need to go through. But he just said it again, and this is the same reason everyone else is questioning part of this. He said if something happened to Charlie, he knew he would get taken out, right? he planned for his wife to become a CEO to get in a position where she could get taken out. So that's insane to even think that he would say that, but let's keep going.
He knew, he started dating Erika when his life was already a little crazy. Well, it was a fraction of what it became, obviously, as the years went on. But he knew Erika could handle this type of lifestyle. He knew that she had it in her, and she was incredibly strong and fierce and true and good. And so Erika, she, obviously she wasn't wanting this to happen. She wasn't prepared for this to happen, but in another way, Charlie knew she could handle it.
Okay, so the takeaway from that is that she could handle it. Charlie knew that she could handle it mentally, emotionally, knowledge-wise and all that kind of stuff. And she also said recently that everything about the business, she was involved in some kind of way to where she knew what she was doing. Okay, so now again, for the people just rolling in, make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. But we're talking about the pro Erika is acting normal side first. And then once we're done with that, then we're going to switch to why everyone is questioning Erika Kirk. Okay. Now, this is Andrew Bustamante. And some people are like 50-50 on him. Some are like, he's totally full of it. And the other half is like, he's great and amazing. He's teaching us stuff. I'm not looking at either of those. I'm just looking at the information. So this is him. He's talking about the Erika Kirk controversy. Okay. So we're going to look at a couple of reasons why he is claiming, or he's saying, that people are acting off of perspective and like their own personal perspective. And that perspective has been tainted by people.
Wants every officer to understand the idea of perception versus perspective. So how does this apply to Erika Kirk? At the end of the day, Erika Kirk is just another person, just like you, just like me, which means that she's living in a world that's controlled by her perceptions. And when you think about Erika Kirk's recent history, you have to understand that her perceptions are heavily mired in trauma. Not only did she lose her husband in a public assassination, but she lost her husband in the most public assassination in all of history.
Okay, so part of what he's arguing is that the PTSD and the trauma that she's experienced is what shifted her personality and shifted the way she acts publicly, and that it's so heavy and it weighs on her so much that that is why she's acting the way that she is. Okay. Now, again, this is not this is not for or against. I'm doing both sides today. Okay. But as of right now, he's saying that the trauma she's experienced, that is why she is the way she is right now.
History video of the moment that the bullet hit his skin, the blood coming out of his body. These are moments that were captured on camera. They went viral on the internet, which means they will forever be searchable, discoverable, findable, unforgettable, not just for Erika, not just for her children, but for her children's children and their children after that.
Okay. So I just wanted to show that piece because any normal person, if we weren't specifically talking about Erika Kirk, if we didn't know everything about her, if we didn't know the past and everything else, if this was a regular person and they'd experienced what he's talking about, then it would be quite a load, right? And in some cases with this much load, some people would take their own lives. So let's move on to the next piece of this.
And her words and her responses and her actions aren't the real Erika Kirk. They are a matter of her perception that is heavily influenced by stress, the stress of the perceived world that she lives in every day. Not only is she grieving for a husband she lost less than a year ago, but she was also flung into the position of CEO for Turning Point. That's an $85 million a year organization. She is also a single parent to 2 young children. And she's the face of faith-based conservative women at a time when gender, faith, and politics are some of the most divisive topics that are going on in our world. That's why I'm saying that when you see Erika Kirk, when anyone sees Erika Kirk, what they see is not a real version of Erika Kirk. They see something that is perceived. They see how Erika perceives herself in the world that she lives in.
All right. So based on what he's saying there, and I see a lot of people like, oh, I don't like him. Yeah, it's like 50-50. When I ask people about him, half are like, he's great and amazing, and he's a great, he's done so much for the United States, and the other half is like, no thanks. So, but based on what he's saying, is the trauma she's experienced, everything she's gone through, the fact that, it was so public and all those things has weighed on her so much that she's not going to be the same. Okay. A lot of people said they noticed a huge change in her. If you watch old, I think I have a couple of clips. If you watch old footage of her and you watch her now, it doesn't seem like the same person. Okay. And that's not uncommon when you get into this type of stuff. So what we're going to look at next here is, I just saw this a couple of days ago, which is what kind of inspired this whole stream. And this is the Bustamante and Mrs. Bilao, Tom's wife. And this is an interview she did specifically with Bustamante about Erika Kirk.
Welcome to Bride of Charlie.
Candace Owens dropped a massive bombshell recently that shattered the internet. She is putting her best friend, Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika, on blast with claims that she's a psychopath. So today, Mr. CIA spy Andrew Bustamante, you're going to help us look at body language and verbal cues so that by the end of this, I want you to tell us, is Candace targeting a grieving widow?
She isn't simply a grieving widow. She's also the CEO and chairman of an organization.
Or is she spotting signs of a psychopath that we all missed? Play the clip.
Where should we begin in this story? I think maybe with just a blanket statement. Something is not right with Erika Kirk. And despite a most aggressive influence campaign, the public remains unconvinced that she is simply a grieving widow, because she isn't simply a grieving widow. She's also the CEO and chairman of an organization. In fact, during our preparation for this series, an investigative journalist named Elizabeth Lane went viral on X because what she authored about Erika was brilliant. It just was objectively brilliant. I come from the world of acting and modeling. I have spent years around social climbers, opportunists, image curators, and people who treat relationships like ladders. That is why I left that world. Most of these people are shallow and harmless. A few are dangerous. Erika falls into the latter category, not because she is just ambitious, but because of how calculated and performative her ambition appears to be. I believe she may be a psychopath. What stands out immediately—
Stop right there. This is a humongous red flag what camera is on me. This is a massive red flag, not just for this conversation. That's how important this statement is, right? I believe she may be a psychopath. Before reading this post, Candace said, this is one of the most objective pieces I've ever seen. If it is objective, it cannot be based on belief.
Oh.
That is a fundamental misunderstanding of what objective means. Objective means based in fact, that's demonstrable through evidence, proof, and corroboration, meaning multiple pieces of evidence that are beyond question, that corroborate with each other and can stand essentially in a court of law. That is what objective means. Something cannot be objective if it's based on somebody's opinion, somebody's belief, or somebody's values.
All right. So in chat, do you agree with that statement? He's saying that something cannot be objective, truly objective, if it's based on your opinion or your beliefs. Put a 1 in chat if you think that put a 1 in chat if you think that Candace is being objective, and put a 2 in chat if you think that she's just going off opinions and belief. See a couple 1s, a couple 2s. What about 50-50? All right. Most of you guys say she's being objective. All right, cool. So we'll keep going. So let's move on to our next one. So basically what they do in this live stream is they go over multiple different clips, and he gives his opinion based on that objective versus perspective and things like that. So I'll play these first, and then, like I said, we'll get into the second half of the stream, which is covering the whole idea that something might be off.
Hold in the air, psychopath. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Are there any signs of psychopathy? Are there any signs of fabrication or lies or things like that?
Okay.
Play the clip.
One of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch?
And just to give you a heads up, we're going to look at real crying versus fake crying, how easy it is to make yourself fake cry, and whether or not we think she is actually having legitimate emotions. That's part of this stream as well.
And high res, the video of my husband being murdered, and laugh and say he deserves it.
You can see the tears dripping down her face.
There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. And if you think...
All right, so let's pause there. So people say that she never has tears, okay? And I'm going to show that actors have fake tears all the time. But looking at this, if we're being objective, then we say that her eyes were welled up with tears, and there's tears dripping down her face, okay? And she's experiencing emotion. She has some pauses when she's talking and stuff. So it seems to a person who didn't know anything about her back history or backstory, this might look legitimate, right? That's what we're showing on this side of things.
I think it's okay to murder someone because you think they had it coming for them, because they took the time to have people come to the front of the line if they didn't agree with you, and you think it's okay because you don't like what they say or how they say it, that they should be murdered, and you're enjoying it and you're rejoicing in that? That is evil.
Pause. My training is telling me that this is all real. This is exceptionally real. When you...
And just really quick, so he's going to say what he thinks about this, but she, Mrs. I can't pronounce, is Biliu? I don't know how they pronounce her last name, but she's very popular. Her husband's very popular as well. But she, throughout this whole thing, is kind of in the something's wrong with Erika camp. She keeps saying, like, I don't think that she did it or whatever, but she's constantly challenging Bustamante. So that's part of why this is interesting too. And we won't be doing this much longer. We're going to switch over to the other side here in a minute.
Especially bake in not just the environment, meaning the temperature of the room and the lighting that she's in, but the proximity to this interview to when her husband was actually killed. The grief and grieving process takes years. She started this interview cool, almost cold, collected, right? The jewelry that she's wearing, I can't understand it yet. Why she chose those bracelets, why she chose those finger rings, along with why she chose that necklace. There's some things that I don't understand, but the composite of what I see is somebody who came in knowing it was going to be a challenging conversation and then ran headlong into a question that was extremely emotionally driven. And then she slowly broke down with more and more emotion. The actual objective measurable tells she did not look to the creative side of her brain a single time, meaning she did not look to the right off camera away from the host to access her creative side of her brain, which is the performative side of your brain, which is the fabrication side of your brain.
Okay, so let's talk about that here really quick. Now, this is something that is actually, hold on, let's see. Yeah, hit that like. This is something that's actually true for the most part in psychology. If you're talking to someone and they keep looking off to the right constantly, that's the creative side of your brain. So what that implies is that you're trying to create a story or you're trying to create a narrative. If you're looking off to the left, which she does a few times, or if you're looking, eye contact, then that's typically when you see people start to have like real emotion and they're actually looking into their memory. So that's what he's saying right now, is that he doesn't see her look to the right and everything looks natural.
Which is the emotional side of your brain. She didn't access that at all. And then looking at the host to try to respond to the question, and then the content of what she's saying, in the face of people justifying the death of her husband, she's able to find the words that I hope God forgives you. There's two things excellent about this. One is the question itself. One of the best ways to determine if somebody's being truthful is to ask something called an emotional question. You don't want to ask, what do you think about the game last night? You want to ask feelings-based question.
Right.
How did you feel when you first met your husband? How did you feel when you held your face? You're smiling. You can't even not respond. You can't react.
Okay, so you get the idea. Based on what he's saying with his training and some of the stuff that goes across different specialties, is you look to the right, you're trying to think of something. You look to the left, you're recalling memories. You look at the person directly during an emotional question, and you get that answer. He does go pretty deep into like psychopathy and that kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't want to spend the whole time on this. We'll get to the other half here in a second. But basically, Bustamante and Bilyeu, they tear into lots of opinions, priming, confirmation bias. They say that a lot of people's opinion is based on Candace and what she has said, and as well as others since then who kind of picked up the torch and kept running with it. So it's interesting that I saw a couple of things today, actually, a couple of podcasts, and they were talking about, it was Julian Dory, and they were talking about some stuff, and every single thing they said was a Candace Owens talking point. So I thought that was interesting as well. But we have a few things left here. We'll get through this, and then we'll switch to the other side about why people think something is wrong. Okay. And, psychologists have been diagnosing her as well. People that do like the, based on your body movements and how your face is and things like that. They've also diagnosed saying that it looks like legitimate emotion. I've seen some of those. Okay. I've seen other ones that say like she looks like a psychopath. So that's why this is such an interesting idea, such an interesting stream, and why we should like look at this stuff, because it's like 50-50 across the board.
Before we even start this question, I want to address Erika's body language in this town hall. If you'll rewind just a few seconds, look at her arms, hands, legs, body posture. This is what we would call a closed posture, a closed position. She feels threatened and vulnerable just by even being there. This is not receptive and open. This is not, I'm so excited for this conversation.
No, you're right.
This is not, I feel like I'm in a safe space where I can be open and vulnerable and transparent. This is, what do I have to do to get through the next 90 minutes? Throw your worst at me. I don't trust you. That's what this communicates, right? And that's how it's starting.
Do you know if clinically a psychopath would actually feel that?
This is what's so fascinating. Psychopaths, not only do they struggle with emotion, but they struggle with any kind of empathy. They can't connect to human beings. The fact that she's so closely mimicking the body posture of the hostess, who's also got closed off legs, right? This suggests to me that there is a shared sense of emotional connection between the two of them, even if it's perceived as competitive on the part of Erika. A psychopath would be completely comfortable here.
That's what I was going to say, because they don't experience fear.
And they would.
Okay, so what they're saying here is that her posture, the way she's interacting with this woman, the way she's engaged, the fact that she goes through different emotions and cries at some points and talks normal at some points, they're saying that all of that stuff is not consistent with psychopathy. Okay. And I see someone says rehearsed. I mean, yes, if you have excellent training, then maybe, but they're saying, you know, based on his point of view, because we're on the pro Erika Kirk side right now, based on what he's saying, that it's not consistent with psychopathy.
Welcome competition.
Oh.
I'm going to dominate you anyway. So what you got, right? She's dressed fully in black. A psychopath would be there, maybe looking beautiful, maybe looking comfortable, but they would certainly be there with their legs firmly planted and their hands open and good eye contact and none of this kind of defensive, pursing, artificial confidence. And that's an important place to start before the question even gets asked.
Amazing. Yeah.
Reality.
Okay, so that's interesting. So based on what he's saying so far and what we've seen so far, the people around her, Frank Turek and Andrew Colvett and those guys are saying that she's just been through a lot. She's amazing. She is fit to lead as CEO, and Charlie wanted her to be CEO. And in Charlie's own words, basically said that, you know, she could handle this kind of stuff. And his life was crazy before we met her, and she still married him. Okay, so that's where it's kind of going so far. And with what they're saying as well, what he's saying mostly, it is not consistent with her being a psychopath. Okay.
We follow these rules that are called razors. And the very first razor that we're taught is called Occam's razor. And Occam's razor is that the simplest explanation is most often the correct explanation. So the simplest explanation is one that we have covered a few times with this interview. That trail of evidence tells us that the simplest solution is that she is a genuine person acting in a genuine neurotypical way, which is not a psychopath.
And so you think part of my assessment is because Candace waved the flag?
I think there's a possibility. This is what goes back to your point about, did Candace intentionally prime us?
Right.
I don't know if she intentionally primed you. If it was intentional, it's malicious information. If it wasn't.
Okay, this section is pretty important. So of the pro Erika side, this is going to be the most important piece to listen to. Now he's talking about the different types of information: misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And then he talks about the fact that, in his opinion, and probably the opinion of Gary and, you know, that whole side, that you know, that she's basically, all this has been created by Candace. Okay, they're going to say that Candace Owens and her opinion and her non-objective way of presenting stuff has created this situation. That's kind of where they're going. But I want you to hear the different types of information because it's going to be important later.
Intentional, you may have still been primed accidentally, misinformation. But one way or the other, the whole purpose of us reviewing this has been primed.
Yes.
You even said before turning me into this clip, you primed me. Keep this in mind, Andy.
Oh, you're right. Oh, God, I did do that.
That's not you being malicious.
No, you're right. It's not.
But that is a mistaken presentation of information.
Ooh. Yes. Thank you. You're right.
We all do this to each other all the time. All the time.
And that's where me and you really do come together, is what's the manipulative tactic that gets a lot of us caught up or trapped, and what's the thing that maybe we're misreading. So thank you.
Based off the evidence I've seen so far, and I'm hoping that will change, that by the end of this, I'm like, oh, no, she's inconsistent. She's performative. She's something. I'm hoping that somewhere along the way, Candace's promise of objective proof is provided here.
And you're hoping that so that it's not malice.
Correct.
So I didn't know who Erika Kirk was. I couldn't think of a more horrifying thing than your husband being murdered in public on camera for the world to see.
Okay, so we'll go into the different types of information here really quick. I don't want to take too much time to let them get to that point to explain it. But basically, misinformation is when you share information that you think might be truthful or that you're not sure if it's truthful, but you share it anyway. Okay, that's misinformation. And then disinformation is when you share information on purpose that you know is incorrect. Okay, and that is like you're lying about the information. And then there's malinformation, which is malicious information. And that's where you share truthful information, but in the wrong context or in a way that misleads people. Okay. So they're basically saying that the information that's coming out from Candace's side is either misinformation in a lot of cases, people just making guesses and thinking things are going on, or malinformation. Okay. They think it's like malicious on purpose. And again, here he's trying to look and see if there's any signs of psychopathy. Okay. Yeah, we're almost through it, Moon Goddess.
Pause right there. So the internet is going nuts saying that was all a performance. There's no tears. And that is how the rumors of her actually being a psychopath, maybe it had something to do with it, started to spread. Whether like one of the things that psychopaths can't do is they don't emote, so they don't actually cry. And so as a way to pretend they're crying, they wipe their face when there's no tears. That's what the internet is now saying about this specific clip about her. So based on all of your expertise, what are you feeling and how are you perceiving her right now?
I don't want to talk about how I'm feeling. That's the opposite
of
objective.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes.
Okay, now that's an important point. So on his side of things, on the non-Candace side, the pro-Erika side, he's really pushing that you cannot go off of emotion. Okay. Now I'm looking at chat and I'm seeing a lot of you responding, and you're responding in an emotional way. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. This is just part of the exercise that we're doing today. We're talking about the pro and the anti side, right? But I see a lot of people, like, I'm not going to like pick out specific people and out them and stuff, but they're like, this makes me feel horrible. Oh gosh, not watching her again. I cringe, right? So you're going off of emotion. You're not being objective, right? You're going off your perception. And that's what he's talking about. Okay.
What I am observing right now is incredible consistency between the woman who's standing on that podium and the woman who was sitting in the previous interview room, despite the fact that there were many, many months between the two. This is 11 days after the assassination of her husband. The other one was months later. But the eye movements, the gaze to the sky when referencing faith, when referencing anything other than feeling, she's looking to the...
Okay, did you see that? Let me see if I can go back a few frames. Well, let me do just a few frames. Okay, so he mentioned she looks up. She's looking up as though she's like, reaching up to God or something. And she's looking for, energy or like faith power or something like that, godlike power, or support, whatever it may be. And then you keep going forward, and then it shows the way she tilts her head. You'll see it here in a second. It's almost the exact same timing too. She tilts her head to the left while she's thinking. So what he's saying is there's a lot of consistency. Okay. He's saying that her behavior, her tears, her emotions, the way she's communicating, her body language is consistent. Now, a lot of people will say she's acting, right? And, if you're an actress and you're trained in a certain way, you can try and keep that character going, I guess. But what he's saying is it looks very natural. Okay.
She's looking to the sky, a consistent lack of reference to the creative side of her brain, right? She is not looking to the right. She is not trying to build a story. She's not trying to create. She's looking down at what is presumably a written eulogy, written statements, written comments. And she is looking up when she deals with the pain. And that's the most powerful consistency for me, is the painful moments. Jewelry is consistent, which tells me that.
Now, the jewelry thing, he said he wasn't sure what was going on with it. So I think based on the research I've done, the jewelry is, one is the Charlie Kirk cross, or whatever that the medal that he got from Trump or whatever it was. And then the other one's is her kid's initials. So that's what the jewelry is. But as far as and obviously the cross, she's Christian, she's supposed to be devout, she's supposed to be leading TPUSA faith and that kind of stuff. So it would make sense that she has a cross. He said he wasn't sure about that, so I thought that was kind of strange. I would think someone in the CIA seeing a cross on someone who's a faith leader supposedly would be pretty obvious. So that's interesting. And then she always wears lots of bracelets. She always has. So that seems to be pretty consistent there.
That's just an element of how she dresses. That continuity is important because I wear the same jewelry too.
Yeah.
Right? I don't see signs of fabrication. I see signs of emotional struggle. And anyone who says that a video of this quality recorded at that distance, you can't see her tears, that is a very, very cheap, unprofessional, incomplete assessment of the full range of objectives.
Now, to be clear, I have looked at probably 50 different videos between yesterday and today getting ready for this stream. And in almost, I can almost say basically every single one, every single stream that people said she was not crying in and didn't have real tears, I can see tears. Some of it I have to zoom in and stuff like that, but almost every single time is pretty consistent. So her eyes will well up a little bit, and then she has tears go right down by the edges of her nose. It's pretty consistent. Okay, that's just from me, being neutral and just looking at the videos, because that's something that I do is I zoom in and I do frame by frame. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing. Make sure you guys hit that like. I know a lot of people just came in. We're covering the first half of this stream, which is basically the pro Erika side. They're saying that she's acting natural. She's not a psychopath, and her behavior is what you would expect. And then after this here shortly, we're going to switch to the other side of people basically questioning why she acts the way she does and people that are suspicious of her. And I want to point out too, this is Miss Biliou. I know I keep butchering that name. And I watch her and her husband both. But people are talking about Erika's jewelry. Look at this. Look at this watch. That is a beast. I don't know what brand that is, but I want one of those. But she has this huge watch. She has this, is that WWF? I'm not sure what that is. Huge chain, all this bling in her ears. She has bling in her hair, so that's not much different than Erika Kirk. That's probably less than Erika, or more than Erika Kirk, to be honest, especially with that huge watch. But I thought that was interesting. All right, and this will be our last video for the pro side. And then we're going to switch over to the side that's questioning Erika Kirk.
And I keep falling into the trap, and I recognize it's a trap, but I keep falling into the trap of, I would never do that. I would never do that. And so therefore, it's a flag. And I have to remind myself that that isn't indicative of a flag. It's just, that's how I would behave. It's like the person that laughs at a funeral. You'd be like, who laughs at a funeral? Some people do. And so kind of thinking through that, everything you've said, it has so much validity to it.
Oftentimes it's CIA when you're trained to recruit human assets, and what CIA does.
Yeah, we don't need to hear all this stuff. So basically the takeaway from all this, we'll do a summary of this, is that there was a ton of pressure on Erika Kirk. This is the pro side. This is that side. Basically there's a ton of pressure. She lost her husband in a very public way, which is true. And those videos will be there forever for her kids and her kids' kids and their kids' to see how Grandpappy died, right? Which is terrible. And then you have the amount of stress that she's going through as CEO, which you could see some of that stress on Charlie, especially near the end. Now she's inheriting it where he left off in a bad state. I don't know about financially and all that stuff, but we do know about donor pressure. We know about pressure from other countries, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. So she inherited all of this. So the pro Erika side is saying, look at all this stressful stuff she's dealing with and how well she's dealing with it. Okay. So that's basically the pro side. Also, the fact that based on psychological analysis for psychopathy and all those different things, she doesn't fit that aspect of things. Okay. So let me pull up my whole other set. Like I said, I have a ton of links here. This is interesting. Okay. I might have got a few too many links. Someone says the necklace is Wonder Woman symbol. Okay. Wonder Woman. Awesome. Good to know. WWF. That's funny. You can tell the last time I've seen anything like that. Yep. Hit that thumbs up. I appreciate everyone being here. Now we're going to switch to the side that a lot of you have already been talking about in chat, is the questioning side, right? I won't say anti-Erika, but the ones that got people thinking like, maybe there's something going on here. Maybe she was involved, or, maybe she's an asset or something like that. So now we're going to go to that side of things. We're going to start here. This is Julian Dory, and this is Clint Russell. He has a podcast. I keep forgetting the name of it. Dangerous Liberty. No, that's the Gary. What's the other one called? I don't remember. With Liberty Lockdown. That's what it is. Barron was on his show once. Liberty Lockdown. So Clint Russell is kind of giving his take of what he thinks about everything around Erika Kirk. And it's interesting to see how these guys bounce back and forth, but you will see the influence of what Candace has said and other people on this side. And hopefully it's loud enough.
I'm genuinely uncomfortable about it, because
Yes.
if she is genuinely not involved, which I think there's a very high probability that she's not, the worst thing you could possibly do is just be dunking on this lady left and right, even though she's got like the PR chops of, I don't know, a potato or something. Like, she's just not good at what she's doing. And it's just tragic that she's been put into this position on top of losing her husband, even if she wasn't involved, just making her the CEO of this major organization. She's just so ill-equipped for it at this point. But anyways, less about Erika, more about the actual attack. I mean, have you dug into it decently?
Started to a little bit.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is, in his opinion, he doesn't think that she was necessarily involved, but he said that she doesn't seem like she can handle this type of situation. She thinks that, or he thinks, I should say, he thinks that she's not capable of leading and that she is a PR disaster. Okay. And I think they kind of go back and forth and make fun of stuff throughout this stream, but that's the overall theme. And then this is her on James Caddis. And look at her. This is before Charlie was gone, I believe. And she's talking about her clothing line. And just look at her mannerisms, look at her eyes, look at the way she is. And I want you to compare that to the stuff we're going to look at here in a minute.
Means to actually live the life that God has called you to live as a young woman, someone who's seeking the Lord and doing those things. And it's pretty amazing because you do several different ministries.
Mhm.
They're very important ministries. I want to talk about your clothing line first. And honestly, I say the best for last because the other ministry we're going to talk about has been used to even transform the lives of women in our church.
Now look at her mannerisms. She looks around a lot. She looks up a lot. She has a very, like, what they call RBF, like resting bitch face or whatever. She has that look a lot. She has the big eyes with him. She smiles because they're friends. They know each other and that kind of stuff. But I think it's interesting to see that she has some of the very similar things that we're seeing now that people are questioning about her personality and everything. You're seeing during this time when things weren't necessarily bad.
So we're gonna talk about that. But the clothing line, let's talk about your clothing line because it's not just a clothing line.
No.
It's for a lot of reasons, right?
First moved to Manhattan, and I had no idea why. I moved to Manhattan with one suitcase, one-way ticket. My mom was mortified. She said, "What are you going to do in Manhattan?" I said, "I will figure it out when I get there, but I know that God is calling me to go to Manhattan." And so
Okay, so now this is a thing I want to point out about her personality and the way that she extroverts or pushes out her personality. If you watch this clip, you don't see a lot of vocal intonation changes. She seems very monotone. When she's not smiling, she basically looks like she has RBF, right? So she kind of is that way all the time. So when people are seeing her like crying and stuff and all this stuff is going on, and they say that she has like no emotion and everything else, that's kind of how she always is, even before the tragedy happened, okay?
I held that with me for several months. And then my grandfather, he was everything to me.
And see, she looked up, talked about her grandfather. She looks down, closes her eyes, And then she's like, digging into the memories or whatever. This is the same thing she's doing on stage during the memorial and when she talks about Charlie after he's taken out. Okay. So there's consistency there. This is what the other guy was talking about.
He fought in World War II, got the Silver Star. He also got the Bronze Star. Unbelievable man of God, unbelievable warrior. And he just was so important to me in my life. And so unfortunately, when he passed away.
But you get the idea, right? It's like she's looking, it's consistent with how she is after Charlie's, passed. She has those same habits. She looks up when she's thinking about stuff. She closes her eyes when she's having an emotional moment, thinking about her grandfather. Obviously, she's not crying in this one, but her face kind of stays the same. She doesn't have a lot of emotion on her face. I don't know if she does Botox or anything like that. I don't know, but it seems like she has a very monotone tone, and her face doesn't change much until she smiles. Okay, so all that seems pretty consistent. Mama Nana Love is saying, why the lies? These aren't lies. This is what I'm seeing. This is the pro side. This is Bustamante and that kind of stuff. And this is what I'm seeing is consistent, right? So again, you have to go back to that perception versus being objective. If you hate her because you're told to hate her, because Candace Owens and other people say that they hate her, and then you're jumping on board with that, and now every time you see her, you have those thoughts in your head that we should hate her. Okay. I'm doing both. Like I said, I'm being balanced. I'm doing both sides. So to me, she looks like herself. Like the new her and old her have consistency in her emotional state in her faces and things like that. Whether she's an actress or not, that's a whole different thing. All right. And that's Caddis. He's pro. Okay. So this right here, this is when she has the Medal of Honor. Is that what it is? Yeah. Medal of Freedom. So this is when she has the Medal of Freedom. Now, again, this is one of the reasons why people question. I believe this is that pastor that has some issues, like maybe some youth touching issues, right? But he's there. James Caddis is there. I didn't know that he was in a wheelchair type setup, but do you think this emotion looks real? Does this look real to you? We'll see her cry here in a second.
Oh, that's so amazing. What are you trying to make me cry?
Okay, now if I didn't know anything about her, if I didn't know the entire past history, if Candace hadn't said anything, if none of us had researched anything and looked into her past, I would think this was a woman sad and crying, right? But there are reasons why people are questioning, and we're going to start going over those reasons now, okay? So I'll start with the list, and then we'll go into the actual videos. So the first set of criticisms and red flags: incongruent grief displays, so perceived lack of typical mourning, right? So the body language and the face and different things are mismatched to the tone and the expressions. That's what a lot of people say, especially at the memorial and on interviews. Then you have the rapid forgiveness in the pivot. So she had quick public forgiveness of the shooter and a shift in stances on our greatest ally, and is seen by some as too polished or calculated. Now, remember, we just heard from Tucker Carlson when he was on, I believe it was Narful. Yeah, Narful's podcast. And he came out and said that he had a lunch or dinner or something with Charlie Kirk and Erika was basically anti our greatest ally, or at least appeared to be. And then now, based on everything we're seeing, it seems like she's very pro, right? Almost like the exact opposite of what Tucker experienced with her. So that's interesting. That's another reason why. And then we have the inconsistencies and the supposed lies, the allegations. Claims from Candace Owens during the Bride of Charlie series. We have background details like the single mother upbringing, right? Like we've heard that her father was there, and when her father wasn't there, her stepfather was there. We also saw the stuff, I believe it was Candace in that same series, about her birthday. Remember, she had like 2 different birth dates that were on record. It was like the 20th and the 22nd or something similar. So there's that. And then there's the interesting family history. ties to crime and things like that. And I believe there's some stuff with gambling or something else. I don't remember all the allegations that was in that series, but there's a lot of stuff, right? Then we have body language tells, closed posture, eye movements, tight-lipped smiles, like not seeming open and friendly. Some people say it's performative, right? Which is what I'm seeing in chat. A lot of people are saying that she's an actress or that she's performing all this stuff. And then people also say that she has psychopathic tendencies, which has basically been debunked by a lot of people, not just Bustamante. Even people that other people watch and trust who do like the body language, specialists on YouTube, they've debunked it. They said they don't see psychopathic behavior, but they do question things about her. And then, the quick rise to CEO, basically CEO overnight, which in a lot of cases you would not have the spouse jump into the position of power if someone was taken out, like the CEO. So that's probably one of the biggest things that initially got people very interested. They're like, what is going on here? Charlie Kirk was just taken out. And then within like a week or two, I don't remember how long it was exactly, then all of a sudden the board is unanimously throwing her into the CEO position, right? Very, very interesting. Perceived persona shift. So she went from pageant, faith-focused background to high-profile political widow and CEO. She's been pushed by Trump. She has, what was the Navy Academy, something or other. She got the position that Charlie was supposed to get. So there's been a lot of things that are very questionable, right? And some people say she has hidden motives, right? The way she talks, the way she says things, the way she doesn't follow up on questions, going through third parties, using other podcasters and things to push off alibis and other information. That's very questionable to a lot of people. And then associations and conspiracies. So I won't go too deep into this piece because of the algorithm, but links to past charity work rumors, aka Romania, Big E speculation, and then protecting insiders. And then also the fact that they didn't support a couple of politicians recently. I won't say their names because of the algorithm, but there's a couple people that Charlie definitely backed that they did not. Okay. And then you have like Joe Kent that they kind of went against. And then you have, was it Massey that, I don't know if it was millions of dollars that were just thrown in to make sure he couldn't win. And where was TPUSA? They weren't backing him. Charlie backed him. So that was interesting too. So with all that going on, that is why people question all this stuff. So to anyone who's like, I don't get it. I don't get why people are making fun of her or questioning her or saying that this is strange or maybe thinking that she might be allegedly involved somehow. That is why, those reasons. But let's look into some of these videos. So this is her most recent. I know you guys have probably seen this, but this goes along with this story. And this is a shorter version.
This world does not understand me. Okay. I'm well aware of that. Okay, people talk about the sequin suit. I wasn't going shopping and, one of our team members picked out outfits for me to wear that day. And my option was that or like this other outfit that didn't even fit. It's like, all right, I'll just wear it. Like, who really cares? Becomes a thing.
Why is that even a discussion?
But
that's
no,
insane.
You're right. So like, or my rings.
Okay, let's do this really quick. Let's do this poll in chat. So put a 1 if you think that the way she dresses, the fireworks, the rings, what else? I think they went shopping to get some clothes for some show or something. Put a 1 if you think all of that stuff matters in the scheme of things, and put a 2 if it's just extra information to pile on top. I want to see what you guys think about that. 1 if it's over the top and too much, and a 2 if it doesn't matter. Looks about 50-50. Interesting. Okay. So we have half of the people saying that all these little nitpicky things people talk about, like the fireworks going off at the beginning of the shows and the blingy suit. And, and you had the comedian that made fun of it, right? And got like hundreds of millions of views. She has the rings, the gaudy rings people talk about in the jewelry, the white pantsuits and different things, the sequin suit. A lot of people are saying that doesn't matter. And other people are saying that it's important. Okay. Now, the reason I'm asking all these questions is because I want you to start thinking about this from perspective versus fact. Like, are you just seeing something? Are you looking for something because of what you've been told and what you've been absorbing? Or is something actually there? Okay. And again, I'm doing both sides. I'm being fair, right? And I think at some point in here, she breaks
I've always
down.
warned these recently of who I am, and I have to talk about honor actually is understand.
Pardon me as I
God, and
look.
don't have to just press
No,
on
okay, so she
God
didn't
and
cry in
God.
this clip.
And I wanted to honor him in that way.
But if you look at her mannerisms, she's starting to seem like she's a little bit more back to how she was previously. Okay. So she's seeming like she's maybe if she was going through some kind of PTSD or something from the event, now she's starting to seem like she's partially coming out of it based on her facial expressions and stuff like that. Now, we're going to talk about this piece because this is important. This is really important. This is about people who, this is how other people cry. We're going to talk about how other people cry, and then we're going to talk about people who can fake cry and actors.
For a living.
I don't like work.
Right. So do you feel like you're better than everybody in the room?
Yes,
Why?
because I don't care about everybody else in the room.
Right.
It's about me.
It is. You
Watch
know how
this
far
guy.
that's gonna go?
It was far enough to get you here.
You didn't get me here.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. You're here.
It's time to cry because I feel like so much. It's hard to talk to you. I can smell it from here.
So he said he's having a hard time and he's starting to cry. Now, I don't see tears yet, but it feels like his eyes are welling up and he's talking normal. Like there's no huge change in emotion or anything. He's
Smell
trying
what?
not to cry. And these guys are laughing at him. But we're going to look at some other people and how they cry and how it looks.
Getting teary-eyed. I don't know. It's all very emotional, and I just felt like you both did such justice. Yes.
Okay, so the first lady is teary-eyed. This one right here. I'm trying to get it right on that frame. So her eyes, it's hard to tell. It's a little bit far away, but you can see it's kind of welling up. You see her eyes are kind of reddish, but she's talking normal, acting normal, having a regular conversation while she's crying, right?
It's all very emotional, and I just felt like you both did such justice
Now watch Ariana.
to the story. It's a beautiful.
Now look at that. She's done. She can't talk. She's probably holding her breath a little bit. She has, the welling up in her eyes. She hasn't even officially started crying yet. She doesn't have any tears coming down, but she's a complete emotional wreck at this point. Okay. So you see the huge difference just between these two in this same clip. Ariana looks like she's going to lose it and is going to like bust out crying and just be all emotional. And the other woman is crying and just talking normal. And then this is another woman, this woman here on the right. This is Taraji Jensen. And I want you to see her mannerisms. The reason this clip caught my attention is because this looked very similar to kind of what we see with Erika Kirk and her mannerisms when she cries. Can I get to that frame? So her eyes well up. You can see there's a lot. You can see, I don't know if there's a little bit of snot starting, but you can see all those tears start to come out, but it didn't start that way. So it kind of welled up a little bit. She's looking around. She has a little different movements and things she's doing, trying to deal with the emotion, right? And this here is supposedly like legitimate crying. But if I were to see this just randomly, I might say that she seems like she's basically, they're saying that she's dabbing where there's nothing there, right? Like there's no tears, she's dabbing, and sometimes it looks like she's dabbing her nose and different things, right? And some people say, yeah, like Texas gal Sophia is saying that like she put like Vicks under her eyes. I guess there was one clip where, what was it before the memorial, I believe, where it looks like she has like a little thing of Visine or something. Like maybe she like put in some eye drops. So there's that, right? But we're going to look at multiple different ones. But she's doing the dabbing. So people question that a lot. And like I said, in a lot of these, I do see tears at times. But again, is she acting or is this legitimate?
That smirk to me.
So you can clearly see the tears that have come down her face. She's wiping over here. I don't know why, but you can see there's definitely tears there.
Is that look of youth?
and she's looking up and to the left, which is not the creative side. That's the, I guess that's supposed to be like the memory, pulling memory side or something. She looks angry.
Thought you could stop what I've built. You thought that you could end this vision.
Okay, so why did I bring this clip up? There's two reasons. So if you're pro Erika, this looks very engaging. Like it pulls you in, it sucks you in, it pulls on your heartstrings. You're like, oh my gosh, this woman, she's lost so much. She's so brave. Look at her tears. It's real. And now if you're on the anti Erika side, you're saying this is so fake. She probably has fake tears. Her face doesn't even look like legitimately mad. The way she talks sometimes when she's like, that boy, like that kind of stuff, people are like, that's not normal. So it's just interesting how there's two very, very different sides of things going on at the same
This
time.
movement, this revival, you thought you could do that by murdering me.
All right. Now this is, I forgot her name, singer, celebrity. It'll come back to me. But this is her happy crying.
Thank you. I do know that every time I sit down to do interviews, it's usually based on who I'm dating,
She's
what
talking.
I'm wearing,
She's happy.
what's my favorite color, favorite
Tears
song.
coming down.
And when I find those people that genuinely appreciate me for me, it keeps me going. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm joining you.
So thank you. Thank you.
But you see how she's the happy crying seems to be a little bit more emotional than the sad crying, which is interesting, at least in the examples I could find. I was trying to find something that showed the same person who was legitimately crying and then fake crying. Oh, Selena Gomez. Yes, thanks. I forgot her name. I mean, I've listened to her music and stuff, and I know she's with Bieber and everything. I just couldn't remember her name. I don't spend any time in pop culture whatsoever. And this is Jennifer Aniston from Friends. And this is happy crying.
Oh God, don't make me cry.
I won't. Don't make. We
You hear
won't
the
make
voice?
each other cry.
Okay.
You're already crying. Do you want a minute? We don't have to talk about.
No. I'm sorry. I just started thinking about.
I know. Yeah. Are you sure? We don't have to
Yeah.
really.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
It's a happy tears.
Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
They got the dab.
Okay.
Same position.
And we're back.
Okay. So.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Friends is turning 30.
And I'm turning 30.
And you.
Now, the reason I showed this one is because it's interesting that transition that Jennifer Aniston just did. Let me see if I can get the exact frame. Can you go frame by frame on shorts? I don't think I can. But you saw her go from the voice, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy, or whatever that she was doing, to crying, to dabbing, and now she's talking normal again in a short period of time. So I thought that clip was interesting. And again, I picked these clips semi at random. I was just looking for clips of people crying. And then here's one of Erika again.
It's interesting. What I miss the most, what really just hits me hard, is when I'm in the grocery store and I see his hot sauce. I want to buy it. Or it's the little things, his clothes everywhere. Excuse me, but it's the little things. And I know that people who have experienced loss totally understand what I'm saying. It's the small things that just get you. It's the visual of, Daddy coming home and to the world he was.
And we know Shabbat Shalom, Daddy's home, all that stuff. But, looking at this clip, a lot of people say that it's fake. She's fake. It's fake crying. It's all an act. And then you have like the Bustamantes and people like that on that side saying that this is legitimate and just real grief. So based on what you guys saw in this clip and based on everything we've seen, I don't know if everyone's been here the whole stream, and hit that like, subscribe if you're not already. But based on what you just saw in this clip, put a 1 if you think it's legitimate emotion, put a 2 if you think it's an act. So 1 if it's legitimate emotion, 2 if it's an act. Seems like a lot of times we're about 50-50 in here. Let's see. So it looks like most people are saying it's an act, mostly twos. Someone said it's the only clip they believe her. And Lizzie, thanks for being here as a moderator. Make sure you guys thank the moderators and give them thumbs ups and hearts and all that stuff. Always much appreciated. Yeah, it looks like we're probably 75% don't believe it. They think it's an act. Okay. All right. So that's interesting. Okay, about 75%. And then this is Amber Heard. This is Amber Heard when she was on the stand going against not Leonardo DiCaprio. What's the guy's name? Like I said, I don't do this pop culture stuff. The guy that was the pirate, Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway, so this is her on the stand, and I think I can't tell if she's really trying to force herself to cry or if she is crying, she's angry or what. But it's bad. Yeah, Johnny Depp. There we go.
I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't see him. Then he was punching me. I've never been so scared in my life. It was black. I couldn't.
All right. Put a 1 if you think it's real. Put a 2 if you think it's fake. 1 if it's real, 2 if it's fake. And yes, this is Amber Heard. I think she lost this trial. Couple of 2s coming in. Couple think it's fake. Looks like almost everyone says it's. I haven't seen any 1s yet. All right. So everyone agrees on this one that it's all fake or that they think it's fake. All right. Let's keep going. We'll skip this one, but this is Kyle Rittenhouse. And he's on the stand.
Shows a single tear rolling down.
And they're saying that, they're basically saying in this news on Inside Edition, they're basically saying that they think he was faking it, right? So, but he does kind of like what Amber did, but in his case, he actually had tears and stuff. She didn't, but he kind of like has a big emotional outburst, like a big emotional outpouring during his trial. All right, now this is examples of people doing it at will.
You can cry on command.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not something you could. How long do you need to prepare for that?
I mean, I think if we just like keep talking and I don't know, like
Okay.
at some point, I should
All right.
probably drink some water so that I'm hydrated.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, if I just keep talking to you, you're going to start crying at some point.
Mhm.
Okay. Do I have to be talking about things that are related to
No.
Jurassic World or just things
No.
in general?
It
Okay.
could just be small talk. It doesn't matter.
You know what I like about Home Depot is
Yeah.
you can get duct tape, all kinds of duct tape. You can
See your
get
eyes
gray
welling
duct
up?
tape.
Yeah.
You can get black duct
Yeah.
tape. I've
I mean,
gone
Home
there.
Depot is huge.
So they're sitting there hanging out on the show. He's talking about Home Depot. They're having a conversation back and forth casually, and she's starting to make her eyes well up. Obviously, she's an actress, but very interesting.
Right?
I've gone to Home Depot many times, and I've bought all kinds of things. I've bought styrofoam. I've bought things that I could
More
use
coming
to
in.
tape other things together to other things. I've bought piping. I really like buying nails and wood. I like buying, I was just wandering the
Look at
aisles
your chin
sometimes, buying all
quivering.
kinds of things at Home Depot. Sometimes I'm there for days. I stay in the Home Depot for days and days.
So this is one example, but she can definitely, she can channel it. And some people can do it without even having to get emotional. Like this girl here. There's a movie, and she's basically reenacting the movie and making herself tear up basically instantly.
I want to try something. Do you think you could hold for 2 beats for the tears gushing? What if the 2? Gush on 3. Yeah.
Action! Eyes water,
Look at that.
light, and tears.
Cut.
So she just turns and instantly makes herself start to cry just like the movie, which is crazy. And this girl says she can do it since birth just naturally.
If you wanted me to, I could probably cry in the next 30 seconds.
Should I ask you?
Do you want me to?
Kind of.
Okay. Just give me like a few seconds.
Okay.
It's gonna happen.
Do I talk or should I be silent?
You can talk.
Are you channeling something right now?
Just happens.
Oh my God.
Her eyes are all
Yeah.
welled up.
You could just do that naturally.
Yeah.
So some people can just do it easily. This girl has a process to do it.
Video, you guys were like, oh, you know how to fake cry. That's so cool. Can you teach us how? I sure can. Bye, Griff. So, it's a lot easier than you think it is. My number one goal is to not blink. That one is always an option. Another way is to fake cry is to not fake it. If you're already experienced in acting, then you can think about a sad thing that's happening in your life.
Channel
that would
sadness.
usually make you cry. For me, I sometimes think about the breakup. And then number 3 is to yawn. A lot of people don't know how to yawn on command. I don't really know how to do it. But whenever I try and fake cry, my body just tells myself to yawn. When you feel a yawn coming on, don't open your mouth. Look into the distance and don't blink. Then think about something really sad. Then when you feel a yawn come on, don't yawn.
You know, she's all welled up. She has the tears dripping. So I get people's side of the argument that it could be acting, that she's just channeling something and she's making herself cry. It's very interesting. Now this girl right here, Olivia Swing. Make sure you guys check her out and go follow her. Follow all these people if you're interested in them. But her specifically, she was brought up to me today. I hadn't seen her before, but she did a video. This one here, the Erika Kirk dots you're not supposed to connect. And she basically summarizes, if you look over here, I mean, she summarizes everything. She talks about the background, education, charity work, her mother, different patterns, all the people she's associated with, charities, the greatest ally connections, everything in this one video. So make sure you check her out. She does a very good job of doing these like documentary style videos, and she has several. But we're going to look at a few clips from her, and then that'll finish out our clips.
Even more telling, how Charlie was being controlled in his final months and what his last 48 hours reveal about who really killed him. Now, Charlie's frustration with pro-Israel pressure wasn't just private. There's a clip from a roundtable Charlie did with 25 Gen Z kids about anti-Semitism that shows exactly how tightly he was being controlled. Watch this carefully. Charlie says, I'm told by some people that if I criticize AIPAC, I am anti-Semitic. And I want you to watch Andrew's body language change from smiling to looking down.
I'm told that by some people that if I criticize AIPAC, I'm anti-Semitic. I think it's ridiculous.
But Charlie continues on, and you can tell he is very cautious about what he is saying. So watch Charlie and watch Andrew.
Do you think that that AIPAC represents, again, I'm not saying I believe this, but I think this is what you're saying, that it represents a kind of cutting in line of...
Did you see how much Charlie's face was twitching there? Let me go back a little bit. You can see all these strange things happening to his face.
Andrew.
Do you think that that AIPAC represents, again, I'm not saying I believe this, but I think this is what you're saying.
He's fighting something hard. Now I'm thinking to myself, whoever takes over TPUSA is inheriting whatever stress Charlie was going through. So that's one argument, I guess, for the for side. But we have one more clip here, and this is about connections.
If you want to understand who Erika really is, maybe this 2013 Instagram comment from one of her best friends tells us everything we need to know. Posted on a photo of Erika and friends at dinner, her friend wrote, "Fave quote of the night. I have so much money and know so many people, I'm not afraid of anyone or anything," because it was true, humble, and not pretentious at all. So much money, know so many people, not afraid of anyone?
What do you guys think about that quote? That's interesting. So basically, if this is correct, again, this is her words in her video, but if this is correct, she's basically saying that from that quote, that Erika is insinuating that she is rich and untouchable. Very interesting. So there's a lot of information, a lot of things we've looked at, but the bottom line is basically that for the pro side, there's high pressure and psychology is messy. She might be going through some PTSD and that kind of stuff. And her saying she's forgiving people and she's trying to bring people to God and everything else could be her trying to deal with the pain. And then on the other side, we have the whole list of things that I've said and these videos that we've seen, people saying that she seems fake, that her tears are forced or acting. And then just all the things that came out in Candace's series of, her past family stuff, Romania, the pastors, and some of the people they choose to keep in their organization, even though some of them are already convicted of SA crimes and, issues against youth. Some of them are alleged, but, some of them have like 20 allegations plus. Once you get that many and you see a pattern, you should probably pay attention. And then some of the churches overall, those churches are doing questionable things as well. It seems like everyone in her orbit, according to some of the stuff that Barron has looked at and some other people, they basically allege that there's so many people in her orbit that have to do with the illegal movement of humans and youth, if you know what I'm talking about. There's too many. It's too many to be a coincidence. And all of them seem to be working in that arena. So those are the reasons why people are questioning her. And even if there is something going on psychologically with losing Charlie, that's why a lot of people still have an issue with just the idea of her running the company and the possibility that she might be somehow crooked or evil or something else, like, whatever all the allegations and reports are saying. So it's interesting contrast. You have one side that's like the grieving widow, don't mess with her, she's just going through some emotions. And you have the other side that's like, no way, she's messed up, she might be involved, she might be part of it. She was using Charlie, she was a plant. Some people say that she was a pot of the liquid that was used by bears that they took from bees. I don't think we're supposed to say that word on here. So, yeah. So we'll get into questions and super chats here. Amy Abati, thanks for becoming a new channel member. E-Machine PGH, she was acting, lying to Charlie, real colors now. Okay, so you think that she was acting up to the point of Charlie being taken away, and you think that she's being herself now afterwards? That's interesting. Interesting perspective. Truth Before Tribulation, thanks for the super chat. The host necklace appears to be the Wonder Woman logo. Yeah. Not the WWF people. I don't know why I thought WWF. It looks like the old logo from like the 1990s or something. Colby Upston, thanks for being a channel member. Wrestle against darkness and spiritual wickedness. Yes. Always be true. Thanks for the super from Canada. Pageant queen, always been trained to perform, needed to be ready for the role of her life. Bride of Charlie. Yeah, it seems like according to the polls we did, about 50% of you think that she was acting or is acting still. Rachel Owen. Any relation to Candace? Thanks for the super. My brother was killed last year. Sorry to hear that. That's terrible. No way, shape or form. I'm going in a public speaking tour. I can barely get out of bed. What's EK's secret? Can't just be God. That's interesting. So I know some people that usually seniors, but they'll lose their husband or their wife. And they're usually pretty deeply religious people. And you will see them somehow get on, like they get up, like they'll have a couple of days of grieving or whatever, but usually within like a couple of weeks, they're out being social, they're praying for people, they're volunteering their time. Like God is very powerful. And I've seen some some huge transformations and people who are super deep in their faith. Like I know people personally that were basically on death's bed going through a heart attack, and during it basically just said, if it's my time, it's my time. Like I'm ready. I want to see God. I want to be with God. And, other people like myself probably would have been like panicking, like freaking out, like, am I going to die, doc? Like, what's going on? And this person is just cool, calm, collected. Like, if he's going to take me, I'm ready. Right. So I get what you're saying, but there's also a lot of power in God. And a lot of the stuff is very, it's very mental. And if you have mental strength, or if you can focus a certain direction, sometimes it can make a huge difference. Discerning Veracity, member for 3 months. Thanks for being a channel member. She gives off Black Widow vibes. Interesting. Interesting. Never heard that before. Always Be True. Thanks for another super chat from Canada. Canada must be doing well. Pageant and Christianity is a weird combo, in my opinion. Pageantry and Christianity. I've never. So I used to model, and I'm trying to think back to that time. If anyone was like super religious, or if they were like church moms or anything. I don't know. I don't think I know enough about that to make a comment on that one, but that is interesting. Dog's Nose, the second. I'd rather hear you and K-Rab talk hot tubs. K-Rab is Kelly Raybon. She does a lot of guest hosting with me especially for the court dates, which, by the way, in July is the preliminary hearing. So they're actually going to present evidence in a way that shows probable cause. And I believe the judge is also supposed to be doing something here shortly, making ruling on the last motions that were put out. So if you guys ever interested in watching those, you can always watch them on my channel. I'll basically, if everything works out, I'll cover every single one all the way through the end of the case. We'll see how long it takes. Courtsy. Thanks for the super chat. I lean more towards narcissistic personality disorder than psychopathy. Also, a lot of us were waiting for months for Candace to speak on Erika. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of this. Candace, Barron. Who else? There was someone else, Lionel Nation. There were several people that wouldn't mention. Even you saw Liberty Lockdown. Even in this Julian Dorsey interview, he's still like, I don't know if she's part of it. I don't think she's part of it. So it's tough. And it's tough for the reasons that I showed today. You know, you have half of the people that have that feeling inside them that they want to feel sorry for her and help her, and that she's going through a lot of trauma and pain. Then you have the other side that latches on quickly to things that like Candace says or someone else says, and all the conspiracy theories and stuff that have been looked at. You know, there's several of them. And she did finally cover the Mike theory today, kind of in depth, the same way that John and I and some other people covered it like 10 months ago. But it's very interesting. Just the whole psychology behind people being torn. So like, because you have different camps, right? You have the people that are like, I think she's involved. She did it. She set him up. She's an asset. She's a plant. Then you have the people on the other side that say, no, she's clean and clear. She's just a grieving widow. You know, bad things happen to people that talk about grieving widows and all that kind of stuff. Then there's people in the middle that are like, I don't think she did it, but she's weird. Or I don't think she did it, but she has a sketchy, background or history. So there's a lot of moving pieces around all this. Dogs Knows the second. And thanks for being a channel member, by the way, as well. Remember how many months went by where Barron, Candace, and many others were supportive of Erika and would not criticize her? Why did they change? Thank you. That's a great question. I've never actually asked Barron that. I know for some people it was when certain answers didn't come. So they'd ask questions like, why this, why that, why the timing, why are you going a different direction than Charlie was going with Our Greatest Ally? Things like that were happening. And over time, there were enough of those things happening that they were like, what's going on? This is not what Charlie would have wanted. And I think that was part of it. And then I think the other part is just, the mannerisms, not answering any questions. The two guys, Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff on the Charlie Kirk show, covering for everything or saying everything's a conspiracy or whatever it may be. So I think over time, there are just so many little mysterious little pieces that if you put them all together, people are like, okay, maybe she's involved. I think that's why people flipped at some point eventually. And maybe each of them can actually tell you themselves like exactly why, but that's just me guessing. Graham's Donna, thanks for being a channel member for a month. Say this to say thank you and appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Let's see here. Amy Abadi, $5 more. Appreciated. I am not an EK fan, but the dab of her tears are also how you wipe with makeup on. That's a good point. That's a really good point. So if you have a face full of makeup, which I don't wear, believe it or not, I have this baby smooth skin. Just kidding. But yeah, if you're especially if you're in the public eye, so you're in a important interview, you're on stage for a TPUSA event or whatever it may be. I don't know if she has professional makeup people, but I could imagine a lot of work went into that. So yeah, this is interesting. Not a fan of EK, but the dab of her tears are also how you wipe makeup or how you wipe with makeup on. And then also, like I was saying before, if you watch the pattern, like actually don't just take my word for it. Actually go and look at videos of her crying. And if you can, zoom in, and you always see her eyes well up. And then typically the tears come down the sides of her nose right here. So she dabs the corner and the corner. She doesn't typically get anything right here. And I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to flip you off. That wasn't purposeful. But I don't know why she doesn't get anything here typically, but she does get it going down here. But yeah, interesting observation. Dog's nose 2. Matt, let's see. What does Mrs. Trigger say about Erika? She doesn't. So this is interesting. She's tired of me talking about any of this. Like she's done. So if I say, hey, today, Charlie, she's like, nope. I'm like, hey, did you hear the bear? Nope. Just cuts me off. So her opinion on Erika, I don't know if she has one. I think that she thinks it's interesting, some of the behaviorisms and things like that over this whole period of time. And I think that she thinks the whole case is very sketchy. But yeah, she's not the kind of wife that gets involved in this kind of stuff where she's like, I think Erika Kirk, this and that. She doesn't really, she's too smart for that. She's too smart to waste her time on the tiny little things like that and going back and forth and be pulled back and forth. She's more of like the wait for the actual evidence, wait till the case is actually done, see what evidence they have on Tyler Robinson and that kind of stuff and see what plays out. Her mind is, she's very smart. Amy Abati, thanks for the super chat. Why the timeout? That could have been Nightbot. I don't know if Nightbot did something, but there is a automated mod. And if you say anything inappropriate that hits a list of words, or if you do a bunch of repetition, like if you keep saying like, I think she's crazy, and then immediately after that, I think she's crazy, like that kind of stuff, it will automatically just pull it out and time you out. Oh my gosh, the name. Uluwihai. Thanks for the super chat. The people still at Turning Point are rich because of Charlie. They rode that horse till it died. And he died when they were about to be Doge audited and he was losing money. She can be complicit and sad. Gray zone. Interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of like coming over to my side of things, right? Like you see some things that are red flags and other things that are green flags. And it's hard to balance those sometimes. That's why I wait for more information. But it's interesting that you bring up the Doge audit because that has kind of died, right? That was brought up. People dug into it. And then we had the cease and desist or whatever that was that went out to Wilson Finance. And then it kind of got quiet. So, but the Doge audit that he was calling for, you know, what did he suspect? And that's another piece of this, why people are suspicious of Erika Kirk, is because the people that she deals with and the people that have been sketchy around her. But you have to think about this piece of it too. And I've said this before. Charlie Kirk was also around those people. He also endorsed those people. He hired those people. He hired and protected and kept on Blake Neff, knowing that he was fired from Tucker Carlson for the conduct that he was. Right? And you have TPUSA Faith. He probably knew that Greg Laurie and other pastors had that reputation. Right? Because it's publicly available information. It's in news articles everywhere. So why was Charlie hanging around those people? That's a question I've asked many times. Me Dot and the boss. CK didn't inherit. You mean EK? Yeah. So EK didn't inherit. She chose. Could have said no. Maybe. But it sounds like from her side of things, it sounds like her and Charlie talked about this a lot, and they already had the expectation set that she was going to do this, and she feels empowered, and she is trying to fill those shoes and carry on his legacy. And this is what she's saying is her way of honoring her husband. So saying that, it's as simple as like she could have said no. I don't think based on what she tells us that wouldn't really be a possibility. So not for her, like mentally and emotionally. But yeah, I mean, the board could have chosen anyone else. She's obviously not going to fill the shoes doing things like the prove me wrong, right? She's not going to do any of that stuff. I can't even see the other men that are out there trying to do it. Like Officer Tatum and other people. You see them try and do what Charlie does, it just doesn't work. You saw Tucker Carlson try and do what Charlie does, it didn't work. JD Vance, I believe, also tried. It's not even close. They just their pride pops up and they get emotional. And the way Charlie did it was totally different. It was a totally different thing. I don't think anyone else can really follow what he did. Frank is Lover, thanks for becoming a new channel member. Keats 31, thanks for becoming a channel member as well. Love your work, brother. I'm happy to help mod if you need it. Gotta sort Nightbot out. Yeah, give me a second here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Where are you? Yeah, I'll try and do that here in the stream here in a minute if I can find you. Otherwise, I can add you to the list. But yeah, I'd love to have you on. Be much appreciated. T. Radman, thanks for the super chat. Trigger, thank you for doing these different in-depths. Great new, refreshing, and thought-provoking ideas, provoking lives. Yeah, I try not to do the same. I mean, like Barron runs his like a courtroom with the evidence. Candace has her like witty way of presenting stuff. Coach is like throwing jokes, acting out voices and all that kind of stuff. But I noticed that a lot of people don't go as deep into the psychology and like the super deep details of stuff. So that's where I kind of separate myself from the other people is I tend to look at both sides of it and dive a little bit deeper. But I appreciate that. Let's see. Looking at some other questions here. How can she be a parent if she chooses not to be home with her supposed children? So supposed children, I would take that as you don't think that they're her kids. And then how can she be a parent if she chooses not to be home? Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, if you look at Charlie in his life, being on the road, being away from the kids and the family, and just coming home once in a while and spending time with them. And then you look at Erika Kirk on the road, traveling, kind of doing a similar type of pattern. CEO, it seems like, the kids hopefully are not being neglected. I'm sure there's other family and stuff around, but it's pretty rough. If PTSD is what's shifting her personality, she'd still be able to figure out something about the Fed slop narrative is off. I mean, that's a good question. Like if someone could interview Erika Kirk, would she say, I agree with everything that the FBI thinks, I'm on board? It was a 30-6. It was Tyler Robinson. Do we have a video like that? Actually, let me look. Let's see if she's ever actually responded about the official narrative. That would be really interesting, actually. Let's see. We have CBS. We have her talking about Candace saying that she murdered her husband. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anything where she's addressing the FBI narrative directly. But by her saying, I forgive that young man and all that stuff at the memorial would tell me she probably is at least mostly in line with that. But a lot of stuff has come out since. So I wouldn't be surprised if, somewhere along the way, I'm sure she's had questions about certain things, assuming she wasn't involved, right? Assuming she's not involved in some kind of way. I'm sure she sat there a couple nights like, that's interesting. So let's see. Texas Gal Sophia. Long time no see. Thanks for being a channel member. Did he call Candace a psychopath? Bustamante doesn't like Candace. We'll just say that. He's not a fan. And it's interesting because at the same time, in the same breath, he'll say the way she's acting and stuff is strange and irresponsible and everything else that you would typically hear from that side. But then he also says at one point, he says something really strange. He's like, he's talking to her and he's basically like, you're better than me. I'm a nobody, but I think that you're making bad decisions with what you're sharing, which is interesting. I don't know if that's like a psychological technique or something, but he has 700,000 some subscribers and he's ex-CIA. So I don't know why he would say that he's a nobody and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of weird, like a weird psychological game. Bad Girl Beck says her grief muscle never engages. Yeah, people don't see a lot of empathy. But also, like I said before, it's really interesting to see even before all this stuff went down, watching her mannerisms. There's like a dog hair right by my eye. Okay. But if you watch her, she lacks emotion until she's basically happy. That's what's interesting about it. She's very monotone, very plain. And then when she smiles, she lights up and her face changes. But then when she's having regular conversations, especially serious ones, she has that same look. They're like very focused, wide eyes, that kind of thing going on. So it's interesting. And I didn't see most of that stuff until today when I was researching everything. Let's see. Is this guy in the video paid by our greatest ally? I don't know if there's any direct affiliations or like if, I don't know if there's anything there specifically, but a lot of people question it because he kind of just came out against Candace like some of the other people did. I don't know what the exact timing was on it. I'd have to look into it, but it might just be his opinion. Like some people just don't like the way, even the people that agree that maybe there's something going on and something off about the narrative, a lot of people still disagree with the manner in which the information has been put out there, like in an accusatory way. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what his affiliation is. Let's see. Someone says isn't looking down to the left lying. Let me look this up. In psychology, is left or right lying? In psychology, the idea of looking to the left or right indicates lying is a widely debunked neuro myth. Okay. Well, so Google's saying it's a myth. Studies show eye direction is unreliable for lie detection. The original claim is that looking up and to the left means they're accessing visual memories and telling the truth. Looking up and to the right means the person is constructing visual images and or lying. So your question was, is looking down and to the left is lying? So looking to the left, yeah. So left is telling the truth. The right is lying, according to the original stuff, like the neuro-linguistic programming. But they're claiming that it doesn't matter now. Like that's not that's not a thing. It's more about speech patterns, cognitive overload, and pupil dilation. So, but I still think there's something to that. I've seen that consistently, like when kids lie or something. A lot of times they'll like look to the right and look up and to the right, and I'm like, oh, gotcha. Let's see. And make sure you guys hit that like if you haven't already. Consider becoming channel members. There are ways to help the channel down in the description for support. I have merch. I have affiliate links and all of that as well. If you are into going to the range and stuff like that, I have an Amazon store that has some pretty cool stuff there. Let's see. Don't most actors have a personality disorder? Probably. But most actors are also usually extremely high IQ. Like 120, 130, 140. So that's another thing too. And sometimes that high IQ is associated with like psychopathy and split personalities and stuff like that. I'm not sure if the way the brain forms to cause those psychological issues also forms the brain to be able to be higher IQ. I'm not sure how that works. How about the video of her in the casket? Sophia says, I haven't looked at that video in a long time. It's been a very long time since I've seen that video. I think Ali Top Files bringing it up was the last time I saw it. A lot of people says, the hands are fake and whatever, and her crying. So even if the tears and all of that is legit, televising it is weird. I mean, just even if she was a grieving widow and nothing else was going on, sitting there and filming it and making it a short and all that stuff is really, really strange. What? Remember Erika's countdown before the assassination? What is that? Official rabbit hole tour guide. Can you follow up on this and give me more information? I'm not familiar with that. That's interesting. Rachel Owen, thanks for the super. My brother was killed publicly here in England on a campus. Every man and dog filmed it, posted. It went, okay, so a bunch of people posted it. It went viral. I want to believe power of prayers. Erika isn't broken. The widow celebrates. Good show, Matt. Well, that's terrible to hear about your brother. So he was filmed basically while being killed or afterwards, and it went viral. That's terrible. Prayers for you and your family. And you're saying that based on your experience, she isn't broken. She's celebrating. Okay. Good show, Matt. Thank you. Dog Knows the Second. Thanks for the super chat. Truly enjoy your calm and even demeanor. Great stuff. Yes, I am the calm one. Truth Before Tribulation. Thanks for becoming a new channel member. Keats31. Thanks for the super chat. To answer your question from Dank's chat earlier, we don't use Nightbot. Us mods just hype the chat, post links, etc. on the channel's behalf. Okay. Yeah, Nightbot is good for catching certain terminology because certain terms can get these flagged, these live streams. So even if Danks is saying what he's supposed to say, if the chat is going crazy saying bad things or things would get flagged, then it can get the whole live stream flagged. So that's why I use Chatbot. It stops it before it's a problem. Always Be True. Thanks for the super chat from Canada. Every time Erika cries, there's someone to capture the moment. Victor Marks at the Women's Summit, White House. Yeah. Or she's crying a lot, and the times that she's caught is just part of it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's interesting how there's always seems to be some kind of photo op or, video shoot when that happens. But there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. Like we supposedly the UFC was under threat from, I think, drones with bombs or something similar. Probably shouldn't have said that on the stream now that I think about it, but yeah, but they had drones and they were trying to supposedly take out Trump and some other people, and they foiled the plot is what they said. So that's interesting. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff going on. She's also being thrown into a world she's not supposedly used to. But yeah, the fact that, who was it? Candace said somebody had there was a letter that they sent out an email, and they were basically saying to use her as an emotional asset because that video was like the strongest emotional pull for the White House incident. That's weird. But was she part of that? Or was she just experiencing it and they just took advantage of it? I don't know. Very interesting stuff. Jack from SC. Why would any husband want to put their wife into a dangerous position? I mean, based on Charlie and him talking about, protecting women and children and that kind of stuff all the time, and the man being the provider and everything else, I don't know why ever in a million years he would ever want her to be in that position. It doesn't make any sense from from multiple people's standpoint, but even more from what he stood for, like his entire past history and everything. Excuse me. Intermedia 1906 says psychopaths do experience fear. What they tend not to experience is guilt. Interesting. Court Dog 7. How's it going? Why is this guy pretending he knows how to be a woman? Bustamante? I think, I mean, he sells a kit. It's like a how to be a super spy educational program or something. So maybe he has one on how to be a woman. I don't know. Basically, every time he does a live stream, he's like, make sure you check out my super spy kit to be a spy because I was a spy. So I don't know. Maybe he has some insight. What is that? 12 stones of the Jordan? Looking beautiful and comfortable just like she was at Charlie's celebration of life. It must have been during one of the videos. Done with Fed Slap, right? Because Erika has definitely displayed grief, absolutely no joy about merch sales, pulling off the event of the century, or funny emojis. That's true. And also interesting because she was also crying during those. So, yeah. Again, it's like, you know, a lot of people being torn two different directions. You know, they question certain things and then other things are there and you're like, why is that there? So she's crying, but she's happy about merch sales and hitting those numbers. But yeah, that's a good point. Mrs. D. Ray. Mrs. D. Ray. There we go. What still bugs me to this day was her saying to Hunter Kozak, you know my heart. How would he know? How could she even speak to him? He hated her husband. And wasn't he part of the Un-F America tour as well? If I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure he was. But yeah, and why did he have access to ask Charlie the question and then also have access to ask her the question? That's pretty strange. I think a lot of people think that they might have known each other, right? Allegations. But then other people think that she was caught off guard and wasn't expecting him to be there. And some of the questions she was asked that day threw her off as well. So it's very interesting. Very interesting dynamic during that town hall. Hammer's stuff. She could have a personality disorder. 100%. 100%. Someone else agrees. Erika seems to have a broken personality structure. Childhood-related trauma. Bay me up, Mr. Scott. I want to sniff the Kleenex. Is it Vicks? Vapor rubbed. Yeah, when I was watching and doing all this research on the fake crying and stuff, they would take basically Vicks, like a Vicks chapstick type thing, and put it under their eye, and the mint would just cause it to start welling up. Lindsay says, I'm a widow too, and I don't understand her actions. Sorry to hear that, Lindsay. I didn't know that. Yeah, I think most women, most people that have lost their partner, especially somewhat recently, are not this extroverted, I guess, is a good way to say it. Let's see. Janet says, wouldn't it be more accurate to compare her current body language to her body language prior to Charlie's death? Yes. You're talking about the head shot where she looks up and then leans her head to the left, I think. Yeah, even if you look at previous before Charlie, it's still very similar. Like like there's continuity, it seems. Death before dishonor. To be fair, there are so many questions Erika won't respond to. Is it because she really hated her husband's take on what women's role should be? That's a great question, especially if you watch the what episode? It was a Charlie Kirk episode for the podcast, and she's like, you can tell they don't agree. So he's supposed to be the breadwinner, the leader. She's supposed to follow. He's the CEO of the company as well. She's supposed to be under him in every way. And she's clearly saying and doing things that he doesn't agree with. And he calls her out. And then she's like, wait, this is good. So, yeah, I mean, you would think all that stuff would have been sorted out before they got married. So, that's interesting. And they also talked about, I believe they talked about premarital counseling, that they highly recommend it. And I assume, based on the fact that they said they highly recommend it, that they did it. But, when you marry somebody, you're constantly learning stuff about them for decades. Hopefully you're married that long. But, I mean, you learn new stuff about them all the time. You go to a restaurant and they try a new food or something and hate it. You're like, I didn't know you hated beets, right? Like, it's just, there's always something. Did Erika grow up doing little girl pageants? Was she raised that way into media? I believe that there are some people talking about the possibility that she was in those type of pageants at a younger age. I don't know about like from a child, like a young child. Rachel Owen, thanks for the super chat. What brand of waterproof mascara does she use? What, you think it works well? Mary Captain Picard, thanks for the super chat from Canada. All actors are narcissists. All narcissists are acting. Generalization, but explains a lot. Is she an actual actress? I know she had the Fort Huachuca movie. Let's see, Erika Kirk. Let's see. Looking at her IMDb. Let's see. Where is the information? I guess this is it. So let's see. Erika Kirk was born. Let me share this screen. Erika Kirk was born Scottsdale, Arizona. So she was an actress known for Emerson Drive. She's My Kind of Crazy. So I guess actress in a music video. Three Little Turkeys. What is that? Three Little Turkeys. What? Was it a voice acting thing? What is this? After his brothers are brutally murdered, the turkey seeks revenge. Interesting. Okay. And review of the day. Review of the day. The oldest still running news broadcast on German television. This news show broadcasts up to 20 episodes a day under public law, with the main issue being aired at 8 o'clock p.m. Okay. What the heck is this? So, I think she just got credits for being on these, possibly. This is weird stuff. And Trump? Top cast was Trump. When was this? 2025? When did this? I guess it's been ongoing since 1952. Interesting. So it's had several people in here. So BB has been on there. Zelensky. Is this as themselves, I would assume? Macron, Trump. Interesting. And it tells how many episodes they've been on. Okay. That is, I've never seen this before or heard of this. And that is on her IMDb. Huh. But I don't see whatever Fort Huachuca movie or whatever it was they were doing. I don't see that listed in here. So if someone gets bored, that might be something to look at. Death Before Dishonor says Charlie might have been learning about her in the end. Maybe the emotions took over what really needed to be asked. Emotions can do that, while the truth issues are sat shelved for a while. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty deep, but the end seemed, according to some people, they think that maybe they were on their way out, possibly, which, sucks for anyone. If you've ever been divorced or been working on a divorce, it's very high stress. Don't wish that on anybody. Miss Dee Dee Ray, it was the friend in the background saying he loved you so much while Erika was mic'd and recorded, and they thought that was suitable to publish. Oh, for the funeral? Is that what you're talking about? Remember the Amazing Race video of Erika being a pit bull? Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there. And then what was the other show? There's the Amazing Race, and then there was, like there's one where she's like let me see if I can find it. There's one where she's like dancing. What is it? Tasty something? Tasty Tidbits. Kind of like Joe Rogan and those people, how they're like they're just a personality, and then anyone can hire them for various different things. Where the heck is it? I don't know if I'll be able to find it fast enough for me to do it right now. Where is it? Erika Kirk commercial. Isn't it interesting when you're not looking for something, 1,000 things pop up? And then when you're looking for that one thing, it's never there. It's never there. Yeah, I can't find it fast enough right now. Let's see. Did that movie ever get released? The Fort Huachuca one? I doubt it, and I don't know. I think if I remember the live stream, they made it, and then it never got released, I don't believe. So, but I think you still get IMDb credit if it was IMDb registered. I think it was it might have been like a privately funded military type of situation. I don't know much about that. Yep, and we've mentioned this, but why would Charlie want his wife to do a job that killed him, leaving his kids orphans? We talked about the audit. What was she doing that 9 months she was out of the public eye? I think that was when, according to her, I think that's when she was with the pastor's wife and doing like a deep dive into Christianity and her faith, if I remember correctly. I don't remember 100%, but I think that's accurate. Jack from SC. Hey, Matt, how do you forgive someone who has not even been convicted yet? She has not even begun to go through the grief process. Yeah, and that's why I think that she feels like Tyler Robinson did it, or is going along with that narrative, right? Allegedly, because I think that was very soon after they did that memorial, and she says, "I forgive that man, or that boy, that young man." So, yeah, it's interesting. But then you had all the other people, including Trump, saying that he should get the ultimate punishment, which is obviously the death penalty. And then you had some other people high in the government, other very influential people saying the same thing, which why would they be calling for the death penalty for someone that hasn't even been proven guilty yet? Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Minnesota Mary, I wouldn't wear makeup after her husband died because I would look much worse because of crying. That's why the other lady was asking about which mascara she uses. Must be some good stuff. Julie Cooksey, she says, how could you smile and laugh about the moment you see your dead husband's face? The only thing I can think of about laughter. So I guess it'd be a mix of emotions, right? It would be happiness, seeing the person that you were so in love with, that you spent all that time with and built that life with and had kids with and everything else. And then the laughter also could be part of that. But also a lot of people have a nervous laugh. Like they have a very nervous laugh that comes at weird times. I have friends like that. Like if they're somewhere and someone like some other guy comes up in their face and is like, puffing out getting all big and tough, then they'll have like nervous laughter because they're not really sure what to do. Nora Wilkins, if EK is genuine, why can't she take Q&A? What is she hiding? I mean, it's a good question. And why don't they answer some of the questions that are out there? I think from what I've heard from them, it's more of a situation from what they're saying that they don't have time for it. They're busy running a very large company that influences, the future of America. So why would they waste time answering questions from Candace Owens or Barron or myself or anyone else? Like, it's like those things where, I'll have certain people in chat to say certain things and ask certain questions that seem out of place. Excuse me. And most of the time I'll just go right past it because it's not worth wasting my breath on. So maybe that's how they feel about it. Kyle, let's see. Kyle, it is just who I am. Kyle, it is just who I am. Interesting name. What about our fleet of private nonprofit planes? That fleet has been there. I believe that is part of TPUSA, and I think that's the ones they've always used, the Gulf Streams and all that. And I don't think that's too uncommon in nonprofits and larger companies to have their own private planes. But it's being paid for. They do have donors, but the way it's being paid for in some ways might be questionable. I think Barron is quoted like $150,000 or something to fly a short, in those Gulf Streams could be $150,000. I don't know if that's how much the gas costs or what, but it's just a lot of money. Death Before Dishonor. Charlie said never stop asking questions, so why does Erika say stop? I think the stop is not about asking questions in general. The stop is about questioning her involvement, I think, or TPUSA staff involvement in the allegations that maybe they had something to do with it or knew about it and didn't relay the information or whatever that may be. Ulu Wehai. I'll try and get this right eventually. Ulu Wehai. Why lie? You don't have to unless you are good at lying. Monica Knight says no eye contact because she's lying. She made a lot of eye contact. So whoever she was talking to, she would look at them multiple different times, and then she would look up, usually to the right, and then she would look up to God, and then she would look down and close her eyes, and then she would look back at the person. So, I mean, she was doing eye contact. She wasn't avoiding making eye contact. At least it didn't seem that way to me, just in general. Always be true. That's the question she wouldn't answer with Megyn Kelly. What were you doing in New York? Interesting. I didn't know she didn't answer that question. Apocalypse. God is calling me to Manhattan and then to go onto a reality dating show. Yeah. There is that. All right, awesome. What I will do is we'll call it there. We got both sides. We got the pro, we got the anti. We did some super chats. I appreciate everyone being here and supporting the channel with super chats and memberships and everything else. And like I was saying before, I'm trying to get it a somewhat regular schedule for live streams. That's something that I did a lot early on, and then I kind of got more away from it and did more pre-recorded videos, which I'll probably still do as well. But I'm trying to get some regular live streams each week so that I can share different information. It won't all be CK stuff. It's not something I'm not interested in doing only CK stuff, but it will be a mix. But thanks to the mods, thanks for everyone being here and watching and checking it out. And depending on your taste, I believe that Valhalla VFT is also live right now, and he does a really good job. I think it's Political Tuesday, but it gets pretty entertaining over there. But again, I appreciate everyone being here, and yeah, just stuff to think about. I'll see you on the next one.